Remakes are nothing new to Hollywood. Studios have subjected audiences to a retelling of the same tale for nearly a century. In fact, legendary Golden Age director Cecil B. DeMille remade not one, not two, not even three, but wait for it, 4 of his very own films. The guy even remade The Squaw Man 3 different times between 1914 and 1931. DeMille was quoted as saying, "I love this story so much that as long as I live, I will make it every 10 years. Okay, settle down there, guy. As much as this has always been SOP for Hollywood, it seems recently they are particularly bent on remaking everything that has ever been captured on camera, whether it be a reboot, remake, or sequel years removed from the original. Well, instead of standing in front of the freight train trying desperately to stop it, we figured we'd jump on board. Here are a few of the remakes in production that have us psyched, or at least a little curious. Tomb Raider. While Alicia Vikander's doppelganger, Emilia Clarke, didn't fare too well in her attempt at a reboot with Terminator Genisys, Tomb Raider has nowhere to go but up. Seriously, nowhere to go but up. Taking over the role made popular in cinema by Angelina Jolie, Vikander stars as Lara Croft in an origin story based on the 2013 video game. As a young woman not yet wise in the world of adventure, Lara is lost without purpose, working as a bike messenger in the streets of London. She sets off to solve the mystery of her adventurer father's disappearance. Conveniently, his last known destination was a tomb on a mysterious island. In order to find him, she'll have to become the dun-dun-dun Tomb Raider. Boy, that's convenient, because they already have the title and all. Vikander is joined by a stellar cast including Dominic West and Daniel Wu, with Walton Goggins playing the villain. Not too shabby. Of course, the reboot could go either way, but honestly, Walton Goggins is like cheddar. He makes everything better. Just look at that mug. You'll love to hate him, and you'll love to love him. Lara Croft is due to hit theaters March 16, 2018. Death Wish. If you love 70s gritty action flicks, then you no doubt were a fan of Charles Bronson in Death Wish 1 through 82. Directed by famed horror director Eli Roth, starring Bruce Die Hard Willie, the newest offering follows the same premise as the 1974 film, swapping out careers for an architect in the original to the more interesting trauma surgeon in the newest adaptation. Paul Kersey picks up the nickname Grim Reaper when he sets out on a revenge killing spree after his wife is murdered and his daughter is placed in a coma. The 2017 version seems to be having a lot more fun than the original, with one-liners best suited for John McClane.
So you're not gonna kill me?
No. Jack is.
Oh, Bruce, you get me. With Vincent D'Onofrio, Elizabeth Shue, and Mike Epps rounding out the cast, Death Wish is shaping up to be a solid popcorn revenge flick. It drops on November 22nd this year. That's 2017 for those of you who are paying attention. Hellboy. After 2 very solid offerings of Hellboy from George R.R. Martin's stunt double Guillermo del Toro, Lionsgate and Millennium are looking to reboot the iconic Red Bad Boy. Ron Perlman is passing the torch to David Arbor of Stranger Things fame to play Hellboy himself. Kind of perfect casting if you ask me. That's like if Guillermo del Toro played George R.R. Martin in a movie. Other cast members include Ian McShane as Professor Broom and Mila Jovovich as villainess Nimue the Blood Queen. Ed Skrein, who played Francis Ajax in Deadpool, was cast as Major Ben Daimio for about 2.7 seconds before he dropped out after uproarious online protests citing whitewashing. You see, Daimio was Asian in the comics, and Skrein, well, not Asian. He received praise for his selfless move, forcing production to recast. Neal Marshall, who directed episodes of Game of Thrones and Westworld, is set to direct, with the story sticking closely to the source material. Expect a Hellboy reboot sometime in 2018. Jumanji. Jumanji is a beloved 90s classic starring the painfully missed Robin Williams. With fond memories of the board game come to life movie, it's no wonder the studios would try to capitalize, nay exploit, nay whore out our childhood. And truthfully, until we saw the trailer, that's how it felt. But damn if it doesn't look like a hell of a lot of fun. Titled Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, We Got Fun and Games, we got everything you want, honey, we know the names. Sorry, you try to get that out of your head. This well-titled remake finds Dwayne Don't Call Me the Rock Johnson, Kevin Hart, Karen Gillan, and Jack Black leading the way in a clever twist that sends some high school kids into a retro Jumanji video game where the aforementioned actors play their avatars. So this movie is basically Jumanji meets Avatar meets Tron. Following? Good. Now, instead of just ripping off the premise of the original, we find the characters finally stepping into the jungles of Jumanji, only alluded to in the first film. So it's got that going for it, as well as the natural charisma of the main characters. Enter the Jungle, December 20th, 2017. Ocean's 11, or 8. While the prospect of an Ocean's 14 was kicked around Hollywood for a bit, the untimely death of Bernie Mac pretty much closed the door on any chance of that happening. But you know what they say, when one door closes, another one is kicked in with the heel of a reboot. Sandra Bullock takes the lead as the estranged sister of George Clooney's Danny Ocean. Debbie Ocean puts together a team of her own to knock over the Met Gala in New York City. The film will see such heavyweights as Cate Blanchett, Helen Bonham Carter, Anne Hathaway, Rihanna, Mindy Kaling, and Sarah Paulson pulling thief duty. While the fact that women get only 8 while the men get 11 will undoubtedly ruffle some online feathers, the talent here more than makes up for it. Matt Damon and Carl Reiner are set to reprise their roles from the Ocean's trilogy. Ocean's Ocho sneaks into theaters June 8th, 2018. Boy, that's a lot of 8s. The Predator. The thought of another Predator movie will most likely be met with eye rolls. That is until the name Shane Black slaps you across the face. That's right, Hawkins himself is writing and directing the reboot of Predator with a movie aptly titled The Predator, which funnily enough was the title of the original film until some genius was like, what if we just drop the? Once everyone realized that this glorified assistant didn't have a speech impediment and was actually suggesting something of merit, the new title was born. Now 30 years later, it's back with the film determined to be as good as Predator and Predator 2, the only two veritable classics of the bunch. Black wrote the script with Fred Decker, which is particularly exciting to us here at Get to the Movies, seeing as though the last time these two guys worked together, they gave us the movie The Monster Squad. The friggin' Monster Squad! And if Black and Decker can't deliver a solid Predator that reeks of the 80s soaked in the present, then nobody can. Oh yeah, plot-wise we know next to nothing other than it has a Predator and some humans. Oh, and it takes place between the events of Predator 2 and Predators. Oh, and Jake Busey plays the son of Gary Busey's character in the 1990 sequel to the original. Oh, and we pretty much just creamed ourselves at the thought of that. The Predator drops August 3rd, 2018. Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins was Walt Disney's first foray into a live-action feature film, and what a foray it was. Julie Andrews, the songs, the set pieces, and that goddamn Cockney accent thing Dick Van Dyke was doing with his mouth instantly cemented the 1964 film as a classic. In what may be the longest time between sequels, we are finally going to see Mary Poppins return in a title you couldn't have guessed if your life depended on it. Mary Poppins Returns. See? Told you. You couldn't have guessed it. The movie stars Emily Blunt as the titular character with a little help from Lin-Manuel Miranda, Meryl Streep, Colin Firth, Angela Lansbury, and Bert himself, Dick Van Dyke. Jane and Michael Banks, the children from the original, are now adults when Mary Poppins pops in. See what I did there? As happens with most of us as we mature, our souls die.
It's unavoidable.
It's Mary's job to help the Banks children rediscover the lessons they already learned in the first film. Mary Poppins Returns flies into theaters Christmas Day, 2018. Thanks for checking out Get to the Movies. If you like what you saw, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe button down below for more great content uploaded every week. And in case you didn't like what you saw, hit the subscribe button anyway so you can continue to trash each video we upload.